I welcome you all on the fourth. Talk under Brain Manthan of IDP NAHGP sponsored National E-Conference on Igniting Young Minds for Sustainable Growth through Entrepreneurship and Skill Development of WETS Vision. The theme that we are targeting today, that's very pertinent to the current scenario. It's teaching innovations post-COVID, a stride towards new normal. And we have with us Dr. Suneet Madan. She's a PhD from CEPT University, Ahmedabad, and holds a master degree in design, particularly visual communication, from Indian Institute of Technology, Bombay. She is working with Center for Development of Advanced Computing, abbreviated as CDAC, for the last 20 years as Joint Director and HOD of Human Computer Interface Division. She has executed projects in the healthcare, defense, and e-governance at central and state levels with Ministry of External Affairs, Ministry of Electronics and Information Technology, and a large number of departments of the state governments of Punjab and Haryana. Numerous projects implemented by her have received awards at national level. It's my prime honor to welcome you, Dr. Madan, and thank you very much for sparing your precious time despite your busy schedule for the students of Guru Angad Veterinary and Animal Sciences University. Over to you, Dr. Madan. Thank you very much.
Thank you. It's my proud privilege that I'm interacting with these young minds. And I hope I'm audible to start with. Yes?
Yes, ma'am, you are.
Okay. Now to everybody who's joined here, a very warm welcome and good afternoon. I would like to have this session as a lot more interactivity, and how that interactivity can be done is that there is a button called reactions over there, and you also have the chat box. So in case you have any questions, you could, ask the question and I could answer it later. So my presentation will start initially. We'll continue with that, and then whatever questions you pose will be answered thereafter. And of course, you can come up with the reactions which are there. So most welcome. And as of now, to begin with, I want thumbs up as the reaction for those who have worked or played with augmented reality or virtual reality related games. Let's see how many thumbs up can I get. Cool. I think there are a few of them who are still waking up. Let me share my presentation. Visible?
Yes, ma'am, it's clear.
Okay. Now, hashtag, you would all understand how we actually go about using the hashtags. So for me, there is a difference of, how the pedagogical transformations have happened. And when I talk about the VUCA world, it is important for you to understand what exactly, I'm sorry. Yeah. So when we're talking about the VUCA world and the pedagogical transformations, you've all been through this period of isolation, or when we actually had so many things which were uncertain. We weren't very sure what to predict next. It was difficult to anticipate. So there was a lot of volatility, uncertainty, complexity, and ambiguity, wherein there were lots of shades of gray instead of everything being clear as to what is going to be the way forward. Now, in this kind of world, there was a lot of stress that was involved. A lot of people were not very sure as to how the life is going to get, move further, which is where another thing which really happened is that lots of stress penetrated into the workings of not only the professionals, but the students as well. So our take, please stop stressing. Acceptance is the key, because this is going to be the new normal. Well, it has also been a blessing in disguise, essentially because it has acted as a catalyst for educational institutions to develop further innovations, the way to communicate, the way the classes started happening online, the way the innovations were done and the inventions were taking place, and more number of users were coming in. So now, because of these innovations, and which actually come out of what is called creativity, because unless you are creative and assertive and you have acceptance to what is new and what are the challenges ahead of you and what could be the logical outcomes or outputs that you should actually go in for. Now this is where it is important that you get thinking out of box, and only it's when you think about out of box kind of thing that the innovations actually take place. The digital divide actually became more clearer and more stark because of the new normal. Now, you would have actually gone through some of the news clips which were there about a principal walking down the streets in the village and children having their personal blackboards. Now, this started happening because that's something which was an innovation that took place. They came up with ideas as to how to make the education continue despite the restrictions that were there. Now, in Ethiopia, they had Save the Children's Camel Library, wherein so that the education could reach to the grassroots level, to the villages, so that they could actually start understanding, that we cannot lose out on time. We have only that much time to finish our work, and we need to actually go on with the education because education cannot stop. Now, globally, over 1.2 billion children were affected due to COVID and are currently taking education remotely using digital platforms, out of which around 3.4 crore learners were affected in India. So now that the education system was taking a transition and is currently also taking a transition, it's not yet complete because the innovations are still underway. But there's something which happened overnight for the teachers, from shifting from a blackboard PPT videos or face-to-face interactions. Suddenly there were a whole gamut of gadgets, learning management systems, communities, assessments that had to be taken online, bandwidth issues, psychological issues of children, or their inability to access the system as and when required, because maybe their family couldn't afford to have that many number of gadgets, or even people were losing jobs. So how to address those issues and still continue with the training and the learning? There were so many issues that the teachers had to undergo. Now this is where, and plus they had to start recording their content so that they could have fresh content available for the next session. Now, which is where it is very important for the students to empathize with their teachers. Because you all are millennials, you belong to the Gen Z as well. But teachers have spent most of their time not so conversant with so many gadgets, not so conversant with so many networks, social networks. So for them to actually catch on, it took a longer time. But it's commendable that so many teachers actually took on the challenge and could come up to the level that you are now getting your trainings online. Now, when we're talking about education, it's important, like you would have also heard about NCERT clearing up the design thinking courses. Now, it is important that design thinking in education should actually be used in all the parameters, whether it's looking into the new learning environment, how the course content has to be developed, how the, to bring about an equitable change through a community-led, equity-centered and design-driven process. Now, what this essentially means is that you have numerous engagements that you can give to your students so that they are comfortable, so that they are able to, work on things which do not go in a systematic manner, because we don't have things in the new normal which actually go by linear manner. We actually, progressive manner is what is happening. So which is where thinking out of the box, the design thinking part is essentially very important for the teachers to engage on. Um, you know, there is also an issue of there are children who are slow learners. They're unable to understand, they're unable to engage with the pace of learning. So which is where the teachers actually play a very important role in getting everybody together on the same platform. Now, when we talk about what actually transpired during the new normal, you would have all gone through some level of stress, um, or some kind of anxiety. Now, that trickles down to your workplace, that trickles down to your classrooms, that trickles down to your relationships. Now, because isolation can be depressive and we as human beings are actually social beings, communication is vital. Now, this communication has to happen on a multimodal, multi-platform basis. And it should not only be the communication between the teachers, the students and teachers, but it should also be amongst the students and amongst the teachers. So that means your traditional classroom settings also continue in some way, and your staff room settings also continue in some way, because that is where you can actually come on a common grid. So if one teacher is teaching something at one point of time, and the same training has to be trickled down to the other classes or the other sessions, that is where they actually need to come down to the uniformity level. So the common grid has to be established, which is where the staff room setting becomes very important. So I'm not talking about the entire traditional offline teaching and learning to continue. There definitely needs to be a bigger overhaul, because the entire learning strategies are going to, change, uh, which is about which I'll talk in a while from now, how these strategies actually change. When we're talking about the, currently we have the fourth industrial revolution going about. We talked about the digitization, how digitization actually essentially leads to stress, because there's so much information in front of you that you have to grasp, you have to learn, you need to keep pace with. And this stress actually requires you to have a healthy mindset. Now, for you to have a healthy mindset, it is also very important to get into the social relationships. Now, if you are going to develop the social relationships, it's also important that you go back to the digitization. So it's a vicious cycle. But at the same time, it is important that we accept that this is the kind of lifestyle which we're going to continue with, at least for some time from now. Now, if we are going to continue with this kind of lifestyle, it is important that we build ourselves to that level. So your physical activities, your community-based activities should actually enhance and increase. Today, the world is in your hands. What this essentially means is your mobile phone basically has got everything for you to connect with. Your communication part, your thinking, your social being, your relationships, your, when you talk about your education, which is happening, the Zoom calls, the WebEx, the Skype, all the platforms are available in front of you. You have your social media also running in front, in front. You have a choice as to when to skip over from one to the other. Now, which is where it is important that even though you've been empowered, you're in your palm, you're basically empowered with so many things in front of you. But you have to ensure that you compartmentalize. Compartmentalizing is extremely important. You need to ensure that whatever you're doing, first concentrate on that and then move on to the next. Now, this is where it is also very important that we get into, give me a second.
Ma'am, you are not audible.
Yeah, I had to take a little break. Coming back to it. Now, it is important that we actually decide, for the teachers to decide, how much percentage of synchronous learning or the asynchronous learning you're going to go with. Because synchronous learning is, content light and social interaction heavy, which is opposite for the asynchronous mode. A balance would have to be brought about by the teachers over here. My system is hung. Yeah. Which brings me now to the elements of instruction design. Michael Ellen, the godfather of e-learning, describes 4 elements that contribute to effective instructional design, which is that it should be meaningful, it should be measurable, it should be memorable, it should be motivational. How? Now, every line of content that you're putting up, it should actually convey some kind of meaning. It should also be in such a manner that it becomes, you're able to grasp the information very fast. You're able to take interest of students. You're able to get them encouraged to provide you with the feedback. So that actually becomes measurable also, because when they provide you with the feedback, when you assess them for the knowledge that you have provided in the meaningful content, the attributes of the entire effective instruction design get, completed. Besides this, it also needs to be accessible, which is accessible from anywhere, anytime. It needs to be equitable. That is, it should be available despite the fact that the internet is there or the device is, different. It should be responsive enough. Your content should be responsive enough so that the children can receive it on different devices in the same manner. It should be sustainable, which means that the long-term goals are met. It is not only for the time period, it continues to be. You're able to, so that the undue amount of time and efforts are not required to be put in again and again, which is where I mentioned that, the content recording has to be done so that you get onto the common grid. Which brings me now to the learning ecosystem, which is a place where people, systems, resources are combined to support value creation around learning and performance. It creates a value chain that goes beyond a learning management system, what it can do. Now, what this really covers is that you not only have the content, so you have the content, learning content, which is there. There are different gadgets with which it is going to be used. You have to make it gamified so that the students are able to, get into the kinesthetic mode, because we as Asians or the Indians, we more of a tactile nature. So we need the touch to happen. So which is where your learning has to be essentially cognitive, affective, and kinesthetic. So that means you have to continue with something which is going to work on the mental level, can work on your tactile level, and can be replicated later on. So that when you are able to, when you into the assessments, you're able to work on them. Now, this learning ecosystem also demands that it is on demand. because, like I said, the gadgets can be limited per family. There are many people who went out of job. So in the limited resources which are available with the family, the learning cannot really happen all the time on a synchronous manner. So which is where the on-demand content should also be available. And you need to give them ways to interact, which makes it social. So the learning ecosystem needs to be social and feedback oriented, where the continuous feedback method is available for the students to revert and also the faculty to convey, their response to the students based on their assignments. I covered some portion earlier. It is also important that we get a stable bandwidth to work with. Now, when I was talking about the gamification of learning, why it is important is it is not essentially what is treated as wastage of time. No, it's not. If it is used in the right manner, it is not wastage. Because when you are working on the games, which are time limiting, so you actually enabling the person to make decisions in crucial situations. You're enhancing their risk-taking abilities, their critical thinking abilities, their ways to persistently get after completion of a mode. Now, this deliverance of learning can happen cross-platform. Do not wait for the deliverance to be done only on a single platform basis, because there's so much variety which is available. Make use of it, because one platform might not be completing the requirements that you have. So it's important that you go across platforms, pick up which is the best suited for you, and then push across your training. Now, when you're talking about the models of learning, specifically when we are using AR, VR, or the immersive technologies, we go up with the social constructivist model. What happens in this is that whatever learning you have done, you actually build on it. So there's some learning which you carry over the years. So you build on that learning. Your constructivist model actually aids you to go on and on building on a system so that you become from a naive, you become an expert. And you are also collaborating with your partners in that learning. And that social component actually adds on a lot to learning, which we usually forget. In a classroom, yes, it becomes disturbing, but there are supposed to be some ways in which this kind of social learning should be promoted. So this collaborative work is very, very important. Now, some of the tools which could actually help teachers. See, there are different ways to actually go about creating your content for the classroom. But some things which are really very important for the online teaching are that you have a digital storytelling. See, because the kind of attention span which is there for the students has reduced quite a bit. So for that matter, you need to earmark a particular time. You need to decide on what is going to be the real-time basis teaching that you're going to do, what is going to be the synchronous mode, what is going to be the asynchronous mode, so that you are able to capture their attention. Now, when you're creating your content, now this is where students, please empathize with your teachers. Your teachers are now turning into magicians, real-time magicians, because we in tech field, we have specialized roles for this, but your teachers are churning out so much. They've now become designers, they become animators, they become multilingual specialists, they've become developers for quizzes and adding on the video editing with the music. They have started using web conferences, and then while teaching, they have to admit the students ensure that nobody switches on their mic, and so many other issues which actually crop up in between. So please empathize with your teachers. They're actually doing a great job. Teachers, you have the following as your toolbox for effective online teaching. Kindly make use of these. Now, I said earlier that the engagement level has now reduced for the learners. You'll be surprised that according to a research released last week by the browser testing platform Lambda Test, it says that the mobile owners' attention span is less than 3 seconds. I repeat, less than 3 seconds. So which means that your page has to download within those 3 seconds for the attention of, to grab the attention of the student. So, which is where it is very important that the duration of the videos or the lectures should now be reduced to under 20 minutes. So you have chunks of lectures happening, which means large content is now being cut short and you have classrooms in a shorter duration so that the attention of the student can be captured. Now, this is actually going against the format because I'm supposed to talk for 1 hour in this particular lecture. And yes, I know that the people are going to, the attention is going to deviate, but sorry, you'll have to listen to this because this is very important. Dear teachers, you actually need to reduce the time for your classrooms because the attention span for one particular section is going to be just limited. So maximum up to 20. Then you can get into the breakout sessions, the breakaway rooms where you can give them quizzes or polls, ask them some questions, ask them to do some kind of assignment. So wherein you build on your content as well. What actually becomes patient testing elements in a normal content which is available online? I mentioned earlier the slow loading pages or the unwelcomed advertisements and pop-ups, number of clicks which are required to reach the relevant information. Earlier, it used to be, now that the content comes in a scroll format, earlier it used to be based on clicks. So the previous rule was nothing beyond 3 clicks. Now, of course, the scrolls are there, so a similar kind of gauge should be kept in mind. No broken links, a prior intimation if you are sending the user away to a next page, which is out of your browser. So the external links need to be intimated beforehand. Now coming down to the actual eye openers. A study conducted by Microsoft in 2000 measured how long people can focus on one thing for a specific amount of time. And that attention span was 12 seconds. 15 years down the line, it is 8 seconds. Surprise, surprise, surprise. A goldfish which lives in a small pond, a small bowl that is there, its attention span is 9 seconds, which means the average digital consumer's attention span is much lesser than the goldfish. And those who have the mobiles, their attention span is just 3 seconds, which actually is very important for you to understand that we need to make sure that whatever we do, we have to get their attention in that short span of time. Why is this time span shortening? Why is the attention span actually lowering by the year? Thanks to the gadgets. Because we cannot be without these cells, and which is very bad that we are unable to appreciate what goes beyond our gadgets. There's so much abundance of information which is available to us courtesy the WhatsApp University as it is promoted and talked about, which demands our attention. Or there is so much going on in our social networks that we want to go through the entire information, but we forget that what is that information worth? It is not worth anything if you actually go by a broader picture. Start looking at the broader picture. You as students need to make your future. What is more important to you? Think about the broader picture, then start skimming through the content and work on what is required and how you need to use that particular information. Some statistics that I pulled over from the Hootsuite study, which actually show that something like, the average internet user spends nearly 7 hours a day online, which is 9% increase over the last year, that is over 2020, and which is about 40% of our waking hours. 40% of our waking hours we are spending on the connected devices. Look at the kind of manner in which we are consuming social media and we are being online. Something like, according to projections from Google, by 2025, 70% of all internet users will be using their mobiles to access the internet. If 70% of the users are going to use their mobiles to access internet through their mobiles, imagine where that attention span of 3 seconds is going to go. Control is most important right now if we actually need to retain the sanity over here. Which also brings me to the learning pyramid. And why I talk about these, the socializing part, the collaborative learning, is because kinesthetic part is very, very important. That we engage in discussions, we practice what we've learned, and also we teach others what we have learned. How does that happen? You make a presentation in your classrooms. You learn whatever you've learned in the classroom, you provide that as a presentation to your teachers. Or you give a presentation in front of your colleagues, your students, fellow students, and tell them this is what I have learned. And this is what I think can be built on my learning. So a collaborative learning model always makes it better than an auditory or a visual model. Now, there has been a drastic shift from the offline to the online world, thanks to year 2020, which actually changed the overall dynamics of how we live, work, learn, and recreate. This particular transformation and transition that has occurred has touched every sphere of our life. The intelligence-based immersive technologies are set to take our online engagement to a next level. I am going to showcase some of the things that we work on. Before that, a few trends which are there. Now, when we talk about veterinarians, the education overall for medical line had a setback in the year 2020. Now, had the AI, AR, VR gone up to that level, which was projected earlier for 2025 or 2030, we would have been far better in our training systems. See, whatever the future that was predicted for 2025 is actually now happening. Thanks to the COVID circumstances, the learning had to be taken place on whatever primitive form of online learning that we could work on with. However, there are many players in the market who are now gearing up. And now I'm actually going to cover the portion which is going to be really important for you being in the medical line, in the healthcare line, being as veterinarians who are going to tomorrow work on operations. It is important that you know that augmented reality and virtual reality are going to become an integral part of your lives. with the devices which are increasing, the demand which is increasing in the investments and also in the private sector for the gadgets or the HMDs to come roll out in the market, newer versions which are coming every few months. It's imperative that we get on to this particular AR, VR, AI market trend and follow that. I'm going to showcase a small student video which was created for healthcare. Now, why it is really important? See, if you have your book in front of you and there's a diagram in front of you, going through that book and going through that diagram might not give you that kind of engagement level. However, if you are able to see the 3D visualization of it, if you're able to know how the veins are going to be there, how the ligaments are going to come, how the intertwining is going to happen, it is going to be more effective, right? Now let's see one of the amateur videos and then I'll go to some more videos. So which is where the application was created to know about the human organs. So if you are going through a book and you want to see what is the information on eye, so we just right now just showing a small sample of it. Now imagine you're able to dissect it on your mobile. Wouldn't it be much better than a normal education system? Now this entire market of AR, VR is actually going to boom and is booming. And we are expecting something like 800% growth in it. The XR, which is the extended reality, is the go-to technology. We talk about the how the police in US is trained is that they wear the gadgets, they wear the entire body suits, and they are given the devices or the armament which is AR, VR enabled. And they are able to get into the scenario, what is actually a real life scenario, could have been a real life scenario, but their simulated environments are given to them so that they can practice how the shooting is going to happen, where exactly to aim, how the entire layout is going to be there for a school, because they are given the beats, they are given particular segments to look into. So simulated models are created so that they are adept with the situation and have got a more control on the situation. So which is where it is important that you as veterinarians, future veterinarians, also get a hold of the AR, VR markets, how they're going to affect you. Now, CDAC Mohali's forte is in this particular line. We are working on the augmented reality, virtual reality, the artificial intelligence, the cyber security, which is extremely important today, because if I create a system which is AR, VR enabled, you have the entire information in it. The AI models actually make you think how to work on it. Now, in case this particular model is compromised, it is going to create havoc, which is where cybersecurity is extremely important. And of course, the robotics and quantum computing. These are the technologies in which CDAC Mohali works. The cybersecurity, artificial intelligence, robotics, immersive technologies, 3D printing, quantum computing. You guys must be aware of how 3D printed models are being used in real life. Like the bone is 3D printed, or the, even the teeth are 3D printed with the particular material. We also have, this is for the educators who are watching this session. We also have the employee management system, which is extremely user-friendly to provides a paperless office kind of a thing, where you are able to monitor the entire system of how the inventory control happens, how the payrolls happen, or the leave management, which can be done. We also have the e-academic solution, which is a web-based academic solution, wherein login-based, role-based logins are available, and you're able to control the attendance, the examinations, the fee modules, hostel admissions, etc. The learning management system is also developed by CDAC Mohali. It is a Moodle-based system, and in case required, yes, we would like to showcase our work. Now, I will show you some of the examples of immersive technologies that are developed over here at CDAC Mohali. This is augmented reality-based music system that is being created. What are the benefits of having immersive technologies in medical field? One, we do not bungle the equipment. It's scalable, multiple people can use. It is remotely accessible. It improves on the maintenance. It improves the cost effectiveness of training. The personal efficiency increases because you can use it anytime and you can keep trying out again and again, because like I said, the constructivist model of learning works in this particular line. So it is always beneficial that we move on to the augmented reality and virtual reality systems, specifically in the medical field. I will showcase 3 more videos for you to understand how. Now take this particular video as an instance of having a book in front of you and a diagram in front of you, and how the virtual model can come up. So the model is there on the floor, and then a virtual model is now made up. These are all mobile-based applications. When I mentioned about the maintenance part or learning more about how to break up, now treat this as an entire human body. You can see where the ligaments go.
Modern aircraft brakes are activated by the top section of the rudder pedals.
So you can also have the audio, playing in it. It can also be used as navigational video. This is a news clip which came on Feb 18th, and it talks about the mixed reality being used by the surgeons already since 2017. Now, initiated by Professor Thomas Gregory in France, he had an operation which was collaboratively done with a 13-member team, and it was led by him. And Dr. Ashish Babulkar from Pune was part of it. in 2021, Dr. Ashish Babulkar was in news again for using HoloLens to work on a 72-year-old woman's rotator cuff tear. So it was done in November 2020. So when we're talking about the future is actually here. What are we waiting for? This is your time now. In the medical line, it is really important that you start working on the AR/VR technologies right away. Thank you. You can connect to me on this email ID. I'm going to stop the file share to actually go through the questions, which I'm unable to see when the file share was on.
Thank you very much, ma'am.
Thank you.
Can we quickly take up one or two questions, please? One of the students wants to know that what are the effect of these techniques on interpersonal skills?
What is the?
What is the effect of these skills on interpersonal skills?
See, which is the answer to this is the amount that you work on the collaborative, the synchronous and the asynchronous learning modes. Because when you get them together in a collaborative mode, you will be able to engage them on a different mode altogether. Because even when you're doing a Zoom class, there are something called the breakaway rooms. So you can have them in groups, put across in different groups, put them so that they're able to work out a particular assignment and come up again, present it in the main group. Now, this is where it is important that your interpersonal skills, which you otherwise would have been lost on, because essentially when you are teaching, it becomes a one-way channel. So something like when I was presenting, it became a one-way channel for you because I was talking and you were receptive. But now, in case we are able, like the interaction which is happening right now is something which is very important so that you can ask me questions and I can respond to your queries. So which is where when we have to divide our timing in such a manner that both these are taken care of. The technology aspect, you're conveying the information, and also the interpersonal collaborative talk or the building on the system of learning.
I think the person who has asked this question might have got the good answer of this, and one of another students wants to know that would you say that going back to normal would be realistic or logical after everything that what you have learned or experienced?
Buddy, this is the real new normal, Karthik Prabhakar. This is the real new normal. And we are going to go further from this. We might have some part of the traditional teaching atmosphere coming back to our lives, but that is going to be just some part of it. It is very important that we have face-to-face interaction because that's what I said, the kinesthetic part or our being tactile, we Asians being tactile, it is really important that we have the face-to-face interaction. But this interaction is now going to get augmented with the technology. So you are going to have more of interactions which are not only face-to-face, but it is also going to be part of the technology which is going to get into play and you're going to learn through that. So it is not only your classroom learning, it is also going to be learning through different modes. And it is really important because now that I told you that augmented reality, virtual reality is really important for you guys to, you need to assimilate it. So once you start getting onto that path, you will know that the normal is already now beginning to be different.
Very right, ma'am. I totally second your opinion.
Thank you.
And thanks for advocating that the students should empathize with their teachers as they too are trying hard to master the IT gimmicks to the best of their capacities. It's a new thing for all of us.
Absolutely. Unless we actually hold our hands together with the millennials, the students who are there, they should actually support the teachers coming up with new ideas and actually putting it across to them that this is how we can work on. It is really going to benefit everybody.
There is a concern from a student that Will these technologies ultimately reduce huge vacancies for teaching and mentoring staff in the world, or a balance will be established?
A new balance will be established.
I
See,
think he's
because
worried about his employability in the future now.
Simrandeep, a new balance is likely to be there. Because now that you have, definitely some kind of jobs are going to be a little lesser, but at the same time, you can never rule out presence of an instructor. Even when we're talking about the augmented reality, virtual reality, the virtual avatar is never always going to be there. But I don't foresee the teachers being out of the scenario altogether. I belong to a family of academicians and doctors. So I definitely don't foresee that it is going to change. Yes, this family of academicians and doctors is definitely going to include technology in their gamut of activities that they do, but they are not going to be replaced. Not at least in the near future, not in our lifetimes. So that means even in your lifetimes. So you
I
secure.
think, I think this was the same concern when the computer was introduced in our country way back in 1987. That it will replace the people and there will be a lot of unemployability and a lot of vacancies will not be coming up, and computer will replace the human mind. But yes, we need the minds to run the machines, not the machines to run the mind. I think so.
Absolutely right. Absolutely right. See, there's a level to which we can actually, even now, the computers are training themselves. When we talk about the AI models which are being constructed, the computers are already training themselves. But this is where we need to curtail and balance it out, that how much learning will we allow them to do. Yes, someone raised a hand. Kanika, you can type down your question.
I think she wants to ask something. Just
Yeah.
Kanika, you can unmute yourself now.
Okay,
I think she raised the hand by chance.
maybe.
Um, Thank you very much, ma'am. Thanks a lot for such a comprehensive presentation and a beautiful talk. Despite your immediate duties and emergent preoccupations, you were too generous to be here with all of us and delivered a very productive talk to the young minds. And
It's my proud privilege actually, because this is something which is very close to my heart, and I would really want the teachers to also take it, assimilate it, and I want this new generation of the academicians and veterinarians who's coming up to assimilate it, because if they don't start using it now, they will not be able to grasp it to the level that they should be. So so that is where I really wanted that, despite everything, I wanted that the session should go on.
if you can take up one more question, I think the question by Kartik Prabhakar, that I have taken classes here and in the US where all assignments and reading material was given online. Only communication was with the teacher through email. How do you see these types of classes fitting into the future?
Uh, to answer this, Karthik, I will take you back to the year 2001. So that is when the Blackboard, which is the online mode of teaching, really came in, and I was enrolled with Luleå University, Sweden, and I did my course on ergonomics online. So talking about learning online, I did it way back, 2001, 2003. I think around that time I got my certification in around 2003. And everything was online. Our training was online. Our teachers were online. The assignments used to come. Now, it all depends on how diligent you are, how you working around with the entire learning. There were lacunae in it. The lacunae were the collaborative assignments which could have been done. The collaborative way of interaction, the way we could work about in a classroom. So that was a miss. So when you are doing all this, you end up doing only the portion which you think is right. You don't go by what other brains or the constructivist theory is going to help you with. So you have to build on it. Your thinking alone is not going to help you. You have to assimilate knowledge from the environment. And how that environment works is that you talk to each other, you work on it together. The teacher interacts through the, the classroom setting. So one part of collaborative thing should be there. That's my understanding to it. Because unless you get everybody together on the same platform, this kind of learning will only be to a limited portion.
Thank you very much, ma'am.
Excuse
Thanks
me.
a lot.
Thank you.
And we are very thankful again to you for sparing your precious time to be with all of us and delivering a very beautiful lecture on artificial reality and virtual reality. Thank you very much, ma'am. Thanks a lot.
My pleasure. Thank you.
Thank you.